Welcome everybody to the Peer Support Show. Sean and Eric from RPH Ally, and we're going to quick play a reel, and then we'll be right back to dive into it. All right. Well, thanks, Eric, for always joining and being such a great support for our members. We were going to talk about DUIs today, but we thought at the last second we're going to pivot. We're going to hold off until next week on that one. We're going to talk about networking with APHA coming up. So thank you for indulging me on this one.
Yeah, definitely. No, I'm glad you mentioned it, Sean. I think it's really important to network, and go to these professional conferences. This weekend, APHA is holding their annual conference down in Phoenix, and I know a lot of people are going down there, to check it out. There's a lot of different things you could benefit from going to a conference like the annual APHA conference. And I think what we want to talk about is really just networking, making connections with other pharmacists and building those relationships. Sean, let me ask you, have you been to many conferences, and what do you generally do when you go there? Do you just go there and sit for like whatever presentation you're looking for, or do you actually go there and introduce yourself to random people and make connections? Because I think that's kind of what most people do. I just wanted to see where you were at with that.
Yes, I'm most often there's so many CEs at these conferences, right? So you can go in, knock out an entire year of CEs in a couple of days, which is awesome. So if you do that, great, good for you. But I really go for the connection, right? I am one of those types who I can strike up a conversation. I'm very outgoing. But I'm glad we're talking about this because, I have a friend that's going this weekend, and, he's a little bit timid, right? Because he's going by himself. Obviously, he's going to have some friends there, but when you're trying to go and meet people, it can be very intimidating when you walk into a conference like this, right? Because it's like all of a sudden you're in, the cream of the crop. Everyone's smart. Everyone's, trying to do something in their career. And so it can be really tough just to strike up conversation. So I would just love if nothing else, what I want to get out today is, okay, if you are that person that's scared, just go for it. Go try to strike up a conversation, be friendly, right? Yep. But also if you're a person, like you see someone just kind of by themselves, go talk to them.
Yep.
Right? Like just go talk to them, strike up a conversation, and just kind of be there for them, because everyone deserves to be there. And that's one thing that people need to know is, like, if you're going there, you deserve to be there, right? No matter where you are in your career, you're trying to better yourself. You're trying to better the profession of pharmacy. You're trying to build, build the network for yourself. It's just important, right? Yeah. So that's does that make sense, Eric?
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. You described that really well. And, I think most pharmacists, from my experience, they are a little bit more on the shy side, not so much like you. And I would like to say I'm outgoing, but I'm honestly probably more on the shy side, where I would be a little scared to go up to somebody and just strike up a conversation. Because, what's going through my head is, what are they going to think? Is this going to be weird? And, what I've discovered is it's not weird. They're going to appreciate it. They're going to like it. You do have something in common because, you are most likely, you're both going to be a pharmacist. You're at a pharmacy convention. That's who goes to these places. So you do have something in common. And if you walk up to somebody and, just start talking to them, hey, what did you think about this? Or, hey, where are you going to next? And, just some kind of icebreaker, they're going to love that.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine somebody going up to somebody else and doing that and getting a negative response from the person. It's going to be a very welcoming, warm response. And, there's not just any one way to do it. You can figure out what's most comfortable and what's most natural for you. And I would say just do that as much as possible. And then hopefully you have a business card, something with your information on it that you can exchange with them, your name, phone number, email address, and then get theirs also. And I would recommend, after having that conversation, maybe you go into a CE event together and you can sit next to them, have a little casual conversation, get to know them a little bit better. Whether you do that or you don't, if you have their information, which be sure to get that information, when you get home after the event, send an email, it's a text message or something, say, hey, you just, appreciate meeting them. You enjoyed the conversation, and that they can reach out to you anytime, because you never know what's going to happen further down the road. You might find yourself with a question or in a situation. And if you haven't made these connections in the past, you're not going to have anybody to reach out to. But if you're going to conventions, you're collecting business cards, you're building those relationships, then when that question comes up, you're just going to, pull all those out. And hopefully you've had ongoing relationships with these people in the meantime, occasionally just reaching out saying, hey, then you have a whole handful of people you can reach out to. Whereas if you didn't reach out during the convention, you're not going to have anybody, you're not going to know anybody to go to when you need help. And that could just be, so unfortunate. And it's so valuable to have people to reach out to. And yeah, I mean, you can do it just as easy as that, making those relationships at a convention just by putting yourself out there and just a little bit. And I think it's going to be taken very well by the recipient, and it's just going to blossom from there.
I love it. That's well said, Eric. I think I'm going to give some advice on this one, like an easy icebreaker, something that every pharmacist knows how to talk about is their past. What do you do? What type of pharmacist are you? What type of setting? Like that is like two pharmacists can talk about that, the similarities and the differences if they're in different practice settings for hours, right?
I love it. That's a great go-to.
Just go to that one, right? Just talk about pharmacy. You're pretty sure you'll be able to talk to anybody there with just stick to pharmacy. Then things will get into, okay, are you married? Do you have kids? Blah, 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 right? So it's all that type of stuff. And you'd be surprised how easy it is. And you never know, like that person could be just as scared to talk to someone as you are, right?
Yeah. And even if they are just as scared to talk to somebody, well, I'd say they're just as scared to approach somebody. They're not going to be just as scared to talk to somebody. It's just that first step. Taking that first step is the hardest. Once one party or the other takes that first step, the rest is easy. The rest is natural. The rest comes fun. But I'm really glad you gave that like very specific icebreaker. Well, exactly, what type of pharmacy are you in? Because even if you can relate to that or you know absolutely nothing about it, you can continue the conversation on from there. If it's
ask questions.
If you guys do
ask questions.
I do that too. I really like it. How do you like it? Or if you know nothing about it, it's really easy to continue that conversation, being like, oh, I'm not really familiar with that. Tell me more about it. How do you like it? Why did you get into it? What do I need to do to be able to get into that? There's a million different questions you can ask no matter how that conversations go. So that's a great example, Sean.
Love it. Yeah, I would. So for me, if I was going, I can't, my son's birthday is this weekend, but I would probably skip a lot of the CE stuff and try to like make connections and go to, or, go to the networking piece. I mean, that's where you're going to build a lot of hopefully true potential partnerships, friendships going forward. So
yeah.
Anything else on that, Eric? I mean, this is a great topic.
Yeah, I think you can easily do both too. It doesn't necessarily have to be one or the other. You can easily be doing both at the same time.
Yeah.
Like you said, these are a great place to go to get CEs. You can knock a bunch out, in a couple of days. So definitely take advantage of that. But, there's going to be a lot of time in between, but just make sure you're using that time wisely in networking. Sean, one question I had for you with RPH Ally being like, virtual place pharmacists can go to meet each other. How would you say that compares to going to something like an APHA convention?
Good question. It's funny.
Meeting people, connecting with people,
There's no comparison, honestly, no comparison. Okay. But what you can do is use the tools like RPH Ally. Like I told all of our members on an email campaign yesterday, if you are going, post on the live feed, say you're here so you can connect with other members within the community. And then you can kind of go to the DM and be like, where do you want to meet up? What's your plan? Things like that. And honestly, nothing compares to in-person events and connecting with people. But you can use these tools to help guide you to where you want to go, I want to say.
Yeah. One thing that just came to mind for me is, people can go to RPH Ally from anywhere in the country from their home to meet each other and talk with each other. So I think that's a great place to go to first to form these relationships. And then if you're considering going to APHA, well, you already have all these pharmacists, on RPH Ally, start having those discussions with them, have a plan to meet up in person and, take things to the next level or, different route to make that relationship even greater. Because we all know when we do meet in person, at least I believe so, that's when you're able to, form a little bit closer relationships. Everything is done virtually these days and we've gotten really comfortable at forming close relationships virtually. Like I met Jake Nichols in Phoenix for breakfast yesterday. And it's my first time I've ever met him in person, but I've talked to him on the phone so much. I've talked to him on, webinars and virtually just like this. And I'm like, I could, this does not feel like the first time we've met in person. I feel like we've done this a million times before. So it's really not that big of a difference, but it's a little bit of a difference that goes a long way in person.
No, I love that you brought that up, because so last year was my first time I went to the APHA annual, but I had met so many people from the time I started RPH Ally until that event. It was really fun just to finally meet everybody in person. So, I mean, you're exactly right. You can connect, you can meet, you can form relationships in virtual, but then get that chance to, if you get that chance to do it in person, take it, because then it's like all that time is worth it. So
yeah,
nice
and definitely for all the RPH Ally members, or even if you don't know a pharmacist in RPH Ally, but you have a connection with them on LinkedIn, you're following them on social media, I would suggest reaching out to them. If you're down here at APHA, reach out to them and say, hey, are you here too? If so, let's meet up. I'd love to meet you in person. Definitely take advantage of that. And I'm sure they'd be thrilled to hear from you and be more than happy to meet up with you.
100%. So if you are going, Bled's going, Kevin's going, you're going to be there on the outskirts, Eric, or are you actually going inside?
Not 100% sure yet.
Okay. But yeah, there's I think Kevin has a link. So join RPH Ally if you want to meet with Kevin, and he has a link inside RPH Ally that you can schedule some time on the calendar to meet up sometime during the event, during the weekend. So take advantage of that. And if you're going, safe travels. Just be safe, behave.
Of course. Have fun, make connections.
Yeah.
Definitely enjoy yourself. I think we spend so much time working, day in and day out, which can be enjoyable, but not always is. When you go to an event like this, have fun. Don't think of it as work. Think of it as an opportunity to experience some enjoyment, get some education, and just have a relaxing time. But I will be meeting up with Kevin. We just don't have the details figured out yet. So
okay. Well, if you do have the details figured out, maybe you should blast that out so people know where to find you.
I'll do that.
Awesome, Eric. All right, Eric, thank you so much for your time. We will catch you next week, and have fun and be safe this weekend.
All right, Sean. Take care, man. Bye-bye.
Bye.